because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. We are here because we're happy. We're happy you're here too. Welcome to day 10 of this. And so just real quick, I didn't really get a chance to miss. We got in a conversation with our special guest, so I'm sorry we might be a minute late. But before we get to that, and I didn't get a chance to talk to this about Mrs. Smith, but I did want to let you know, next week officially starts online learning, right? So you're officially going to start being held responsible, not only for maybe the live streams, which you seem to come to, but the other work as well. So over the weekend, I think we're going to come up with some kind of plan to bring everybody back together, those people that have not been involved and those people that have been involved. And what that means for you, our loyal followers that come every day, who we love, you're not going to have probably as hard of a schedule next week because you've been doing the stuff, and we appreciate that. And then we'll get everybody on the same page and move on from there. Because, and it's a little nice because we don't have to worry about the Keystone, but we still have to worry about fourth marking period and figuring that out. So I know for me, third marking period ends at the DNA structure quiz. I know for Mrs. Smith, I'm pretty sure her third marking period ends at the mouse experiment quiz. So make sure you have all those things done in Firefly, because that's where we're cutting third marking period off. And if you are a honors bio student, we did send something out. I sent something out to honors bio students yesterday. Roll call?
Roll call. I see Ray Ray. I see Lexi. I see Hannah Church, Jake Bamford, Alexis, Sammy, Michael Jackson I always forget Michael Jackson James, I think. Mrs. Hauk is in the house. Emily, Abby, Dominic, Darius, Abigail, Zuli, who is here first. And that is, let's see, who else? Annie, Maya, Eli, Extra Cheese.
Yes, please.
Devin, Connor, Gladys. I think I got everybody to mix it. Alexia?
So how about you lurkers chiming in too? Because I know, like, I heard rumor that Emma's been watching in the background and some other people have been lurking. Maybe just say hi because we like to see your names. And I am going to throw a special, there's Dominic Lopez, a special shout out to Abigail, because Abby, I know you sent me an email and I think I forgot to respond to it because it was late at night when I read it on my phone and I loved it. It was something to do with mitosis. We'll just say that. And I loved your family response in the Flipgrid, and I wanted to give you a shout out because it would remind me that the Flipgrid guys, there's been some of you posting to that. Mrs. Smith, are you giving any bonus points for the Flipgrid?
I have not yet, but I've been given bonus points for being here, like presentation points, extra credit points for being here. I have not, but I can. I mean,
yeah, I'm actually thinking, somebody asked me about bonus points yesterday. I'm thinking about some bonus points for the Flipgrid and maybe for coming in here. When I wrap up those third marking period grades, just throwing out some thank you points to the kids that have been participating. So with that, it's time. It's time for the special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stream, the one, the only. You've heard him in the hallways. Mr. Koskovic.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Oh, wrong button. I do that every time. There you go.
Okay, guys, give me 1 second. And I'm back. I locked my wife out of the house, and here I am. Welcome to Costco Free Home Delivery. You guys are doing an awesome job. Mr. Suter, Mrs. Smith have told me you guys are showing up every day, and that's really awesome. Kudos to you. Thanks to Mr. Suter, Mrs. Smith for inviting me here to see all you guys and to see all the cool things that they're doing. So keep up the good work, and don't forget, Real Official Learning starts Monday. So I just want to give you guys a quick shout out. Hey to Annie Smith, she's a baller. I know she's here. And Maya, I know Ryan Disney. What's up, man? Thanks for always yelling you hate me in the hallway. I really appreciate that. So, yeah.
Alexia said you yell at her for being loud. Well, I would like to buy some TP from you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's buy some TP. I actually have a lot. I'll charge you $5 a roll. All right.
Non-perishable food.
Yeah.
Samantha Lawrence said hello.
Good morning, Sammy.
I don't know that I've seen that name. Samantha's name in here before. Have I seen that?
They come for me. They come for me. That's what we can say.
Right.
What's up, Ray Ray?
All right. Cool.
All right, guys. Thanks for letting me come in.
So nice to see you, Mr. Koskovic, and have a wonderful weekend and enjoy starting your official online learning on Monday.
Yeah. We've been trying to learn for 2 weeks, so we'll see what happens.
Awesome. All right. Have a great one.
See ya.
All right. So I'm going to share a window with you here real quick. If you give me 1/2 of a split second. Yesterday we were talking about translation. We had Mr. Beichler on the big show, and he came and he talked to us, asked you some questions. You guys did awesome with that review of DNA and RNA. And so I think today the plan is to go over the worksheet we posted for you last night. We were going to give you a quiz and some other things today, and we decided, you know what? We'll push that off until next week. And so just the review, and then we're out of here. So, Mrs. Smith, you want to start with that, or?
Yeah, I mean, I did also post an Ed puzzle just because I know that some people like to have the review. So it's an Amoeba Sisters Ed puzzle that's on there under day 10 for me. That is, if you do it, the points will go in. Sorry, Owen is yelling in the background. But so that is there for you. And then we'll look at the quiz next week.
Yeah, I have that Ed puzzle too, but I think I might hold off and post that next week. So.
Okay. All right. So we're looking at this document here that Mr. Suter has paired up. And the first one here, we're looking at the replication practice at the top. So can anybody on the side tell me what rule I'm going to use to pair these together? What rule? What is that called that I'm going to use? It's a rule about pairing. Yes, that's what it is, but I'm asking for what the name is. It's a rule about pairing.
We only maybe mentioned it once or twice, but
it is pretty straightforward. When
if you have your document up, hint, if you're following along on your document.
So if we are using this rule to pair bases, it's also called the base pair rule or Chargraph's rule. But I would have Chargraph's rule will work, Sammy, but I was even going for just something as simple as our base pair rules that say that A goes with T and C goes with G when we're talking about DNA. Okay, so if I have this first section here, I have the black letters. So C goes with G. So the second one, C is going to go with G and T is going to go with A. So on this next portion here, I have ATA. So what's going to be that next set of 3 that I'm going to want to put in there? So if my DNA strand is ATA, what is my complementary strand going to be? TAT. Good. And then I've got TGT. So I'm going to go on and do ACA, maybe. Then GGC is going to be what? So GGC is going to be CCG. Good. I don't know if Hannah was the first one, but I saw her. Okay, then I'll continue on down. T goes with A, C goes with G, C goes with G, G goes with C, T goes with A, G goes with C, T goes with A, G goes with C, so on and so forth, finishing out this strand. So we use that Chargraph's rule or that base pairing rule to do that. And so we're not going to see any uracil because we're dealing with DNA replication. So we're just talking about DNA to DNA. Down below on the next one, it's talking about completing the chart. So when you're completing the chart, what you have to think about is that we're talking about 100% of DNA. So I want you to think about the 2 types of bases. For example, one is called a purine and the other is called a, so one type is a purine and the other is, good, a pyrimidine.
Very
Excuse me, Link Crew. Thank you very much. Link Crew shirt, Dominic. So if we are dealing with our idea of purines and pyrimidines, thank you, Hannah, that you have to pair them together. So A goes with T and C goes with G. We have a purine paired with a pyrimidine. So the purines and the pyrimidines have to make sure that they're all adding up to 100% of DNA. And so if guanine has 10%, and we know according to our rules that guanine is equal to cytosine, then what is how much, or what is the percentage of cytosine going to be? True. That is very true. We've been trying very hard to only wear Hanover stuff. 10%. Wonderful, Hannah. Okay, so I'm going to fill in that 10% there. That is going to be cytosine. So guanine has to equal cytosine. But how am I going to figure out the other portions? How am I going to figure out A and T? So if that adds up, if you have 10 and 10 and they're equal, that adds up to 20%. So what does the other half have to be? What does that other half have to be? Okay, 100 minus the 20. Wonderful. Thank you for explaining it, Hannah. Okay, so 100% minus the 20% is going to be 80%. And then that 80% divided by 2, because they have to be equal, has to be 40 for each. Okay, so we're going to fill in that 40% on each. So when we're done, A equals T, C equals G, and that all adds up together to 100%. So the next one, I'm given thymine. Thymine is 30%, which means if T equals A, I'm trying to give a little bit of wait time there. So if T equals A, what is adenine going to be for the DNA sample number 2? Good, 30%. Okay, so it's going to be 30% in there, and I'm trying to kind of highlight where I'm writing a little bit anyway. So adenine's 30%, thymine is 30%. So now I have to figure out G and C. So then if you go back to kind of the rules that Hannah set out in the last one, 30 plus 30 is 60 as a whole. 100 minus 60 is 40. So how much am I going to put in for guanine? I saw Darius, I see Zuli, I see Jake, Alexi, Abby. Great. Okay, 20%. Wonderful. I think they all kind of popped up there at the same time. So if you didn't get that before, oops, I pressed the wrong button there. If you didn't get that before, hopefully this time you did get it, and that makes a little bit more sense with how we figured out the answers for those ones. If we travel down to the transcription practice here, we're doing something similar to what we did with the DNA replication, except now we're going and we're writing in the RNA language. So what is the rule here? What's the only difference between DNA replication and transcription? What's going to be the big change? Okay, good. So adenine is going to pair with U, okay? If I were adenine, if I were a DNA base or an RNA base, I guess I would be adenine because I would bond with U. Sorry. Too much Mr. Beichler yesterday. If we're dealing with this, U is going to replace T. So as I go across, G or C is still going to pair with G, C is still going to pair with G, T is still going to pair with A with adenine because I can have that in there. A is going to pair with U. T is going to pair with A. A is going to pair with U. T with A. C with G. T with A. C with G. T with A. C with G. C, G, A, G, G, U, A, U, not J, U, C, U, A, U, G, G. Now I want you to think about, we mentioned this yesterday a little bit when you're going and showing you this document, that you'll notice that we have these in pairs of 3, where it's black and then blue, then black and then blue. Why? What are those going to be called? What are those going to be called? Why are they in little pairs of 3?
Cue Jeopardy music. Maya, that's a pretty good answer. There's a better name.
It's, think a little bit more scientific.
And again, this is one, I'm not sure how many times we've mentioned this one yet. So there we go, Samantha Lawrence.
Hey, nice job. A codon. Good. Okay, a codon. Think about the fact that it's going into the RNA code. Okay, so it's a codon. But it can be called a triplet as well. So that does work. But I was looking for codon. All right, take it away, Mr. Suter.
Yeah, sorry to disappear on you there for a minute, but I heard a knock at the door. It was the post guy with a package, and so I felt like there was a terrorist at my door. He's handing me a package, and then he was kind enough to he signed the thing for me. I didn't have to touch anything, but I did wash my hands after I took the package, and so we're good to go. So what are we doing here? We're talking translation practice. So now we're getting into translations. We have our mRNA code, and we're going to turn that right into amino acids. Now, typically we would match, the amino acid would be carried by tRNA molecule, and we'd probably match that tRNA up. But we're just jumping right into amino acids. And so to do that, we have this universal genetic code chart. And we kind of breezed through this yesterday. I wanted to dive into this just a little bit more today to make sure that you understand it. So let's go to the second one, this GAG here. All right. Does anybody know what the answer to this is going to be? If you already did this and have it up, what did you find? And I don't know what the answer is. I haven't looked yet. So I'm going to let you post, and then we're going to go see who's right. So what's the answer? What is the amino acid if the mRNA code reads GAG? Let's throw that in the chat room here real quick, if you could. All right. Let's check you all out and see if you're right. I see a lot of people agreeing with each other. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to double click on this and open it up in drawing. Now, it wasn't set up this way in your form, but the reason I'm doing this is to show it to you. And we're doing what was it? GAG. Okay, GAG, here we go. So G is our first base. And on this chart, and we have to double check, I think it's important to double check right here. Let me change this. Right here, that this chart says messenger RNA. All right, and it does. So GAG, first base G. If I grab an arrow, that means the first base, we're going to be looking in this row right here. And let's just, for sake of making this really easy to see, we're looking in that row. Second base is an A. So I come up to the top where it says second base, and there's an A. So I'm going to be looking, grab my arrow again, grab my arrow. What's it doing? I'm going to be looking in this column for the A. Third base is G. So if I come over to the side where it says third base, G is right here, and I'm looking in this section right here, which the arrow is going the wrong way, but you get the point, right? So where does G, A, and G all come together? They come together right here, and I get GLU, which is what everybody's been posting. So great job. So save and close that. It is GLU. So the next one, GCA. Let's kind of go back to that real quick. GCA. So we're still on the G, but now we're going to move this arrow to this column. And that puts us in this box. And GCA is right here. And so the answer to that would be ALA. 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 All right, let's go back in. We're doing AAA. I should be able to remember that. AAA. So we're going to be in this column here, or row, in this column. And then AAA, if we come over from the third base, is LYS. 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 All right, so hopefully that you're starting to get that, right? So now, first base, U, second base, U, third base, U's at the top. U is PHE, PHE. A GGG one, first base, second base. That puts us in this box right here. GGG is GLY, GLY, fly. And then UUA, right? UUA is Lucy, right there. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, and I see people were putting stuff in. Awesome. Dude, we love the participation that we get here. All right, so then the next thing you had to do was label this diagram, and this is kind of what we really focused on yesterday, so hopefully that made it pretty easy. If I double-click on this, let's do it real quick. So this box is just kind of floating out here in the middle of nowhere, so I'm thinking that this is my nucleus. This box floating out in the middle of nowhere. I'm thinking this is the cytoplasm. I'm starting with those ones that should have been pretty easy for you. This guy's pointing to this thing. If that's my nucleus, that's my cell membrane. And I'm watching the time, and we're in 20 minutes already, so I'm trying to move a little faster here, but not too fast. We got our DNA molecule. We're reading off of this side, so that's going to be the DNA template. Ever try to type in front of people? It's almost impossible to do it. What about over here, though, on this side of the DNA? Because I see this little R here. Specifically, what is this molecule right here? So down in the chat, what is that molecule right here? Wow, cool. I see you have one question. If you want to ask it, go ahead and ask it. We'll try and keep an eye out for it. Oh, yeah, it should. See, that's what happens when somebody's rushing, and I'm surprised Mrs. Smith didn't get me on that one. Must not be paying attention. That was a great question. Always a good feeling when you can call your teacher out for doing something wrong. All right, and I see from Darius and Ryan and Anna, and I see a couple people there. Wow, cool, with mRNA. Perfect, mRNA. So that's messenger RNA. Specifically, then, what is this box pointing to? What molecule is this right here? Ten-second lag. And the answers come in 3, 2. Yeah, there we go. Looks like Annie got first on that, and then Maya. TRNA. Home base shout out, Maya. All right, and then we come over here. What are we building? I see all these amino acids together, so we're building what? Lexi and Jake, Gladys, Romper Room. I see Hannah. I write Hannah. We're building a Hannah. It's a special Hannah. Hannah, very good. We're building a protein. And I did tell you what that was. We're putting together amino acids. So why don't we just go ahead and put amino acids in here? And then last but not least, what is putting these together that's helping all these tRNA molecules match up? I'm going to come back to that comment. Wow, cool. What is this big hamburger bun called? It's a ribosome. Good. Well, cool. You said a folding protein, and you're kind of correct, but it wouldn't be folding yet. As we build it in the ribosome, we're just linking all those amino acids together. Once we get to that stop codon that says, all right, we've built the protein we want, we've put the amino acids together we want, it's going to leave the ribosome, and then it's going to fold up. And we don't really get a whole lot into how that folding happens and why it happens. But if you think back to things like hydrogen bonds and polar and non-polar, all these things play a role in how the protein actually folds up. But that would be more AP Bio in the future for you. All right, so scrolling down, I think Mrs. Smith is going to pick up a little bit here.
All right. Sorry, I was answering a question in there, and I said you could just say polypeptide there if you want for that. If you wanted to say it's not quite a protein yet because it hasn't been completely folded and everything. If you want to say polypeptide, since it's a polymer of many amino acids or peptides, then you have a polypeptide. So if we're heading down to this next portion here, the most important thing on this chart is to make sure that you're thinking about your rules when you're filling them out. So for example, if you're looking at the mRNA codon and you want to go back to DNA, think about your DNA rules. So this is where you remember DNA is where it's at and RNA is golden. So DNA has the A to T relationship. So when we go to fill in here, we're going to have, if it's AAG for the mRNA, that means the DNA triplet is going to be the TTC. So then TTC would pair with the AAG. You're given the tRNA anticodon, okay? And then we could go to the chart and get the amino acid. Personally, I like to go through and do all the DNA first if I can, so that I'm not worrying about going through. But we're going to go directly across for this one. But just realize, like, you could go down to the next one and say, okay, well, this is GGC. And so I'm just going to pop this in there because I know that. So that's going to be CCG. This one is CAG. So I'm going to pop to the DNA. I'm going to say that's GTC, again, because it still has the T's. Now, when you get down here, you have to go from the anticodon. So I might wait and come back to that. Do the easy things first. So then if this is CCG for the mRNA, the tRNA is going, or the anticodon part, is going to still be in the RNA language, but it's going to be the opposite. So if it's CCG for the mRNA, that means it's going to be GGC. And you might be saying, well, why is that the same as the DNA triplet? It's the same because they're only using cytosine and guanine, which are in both DNA and RNA language. Where when I go down to the tRNA for the CAG example, that's going to be GUC because there's no T in RNA. And then the last one is the UUA. It's giving you the anticodon. So the mRNA codon is going to be AAU because it's still RNA. Remember those rules. But popping back over to the DNA triplet, then it's going to be TTA for that. The amino acids, Mr. Suter went over how to go and find that, so you have to scroll back up. But for this,
it's down below you too.
Be careful. What are we going to do? Are we going to use the tRNA or are we going to use the mRNA column? So which one is it going to be? Last little question for me. Are we going to use the mRNA column or the tRNA column? Great. Thank you. Okay, we're going to use that mRNA column. So make sure you go back over. So the mRNA codon is AAG. So we're going to look for A across, A down, and G. So we're going to be filling in the LYS, okay, for lysine. That's just a abbreviation. Okay, the next one is CCG. So again, find the first base, the second base, and the third base. So we're looking at that one as proline or PRO. For CAG, you're going to go across C, down A, and then over for G is GLN. And then AAU, I'm going to go across for A, down for A, and U, and it's going to be ASN. The only thing I did want to mention, and this does go a little bit above and beyond for those potential honors AP students is that you'll notice that there are multiple codons that code for the same amino acid. That is called the wobble effect, and that's super important because as we go forward and talk about mutations, your body basically has a built-in system to help prevent some mutations. So we'll talk about that more when we get to mutations, probably next week.
All right, and so looking at the time, we're kind of pushing a little bit longer than normal here, and so we don't want to spend too much more time, but I will say, on this last one, I mean, really, it's the rules that you've just been doing, right? So if we have DNA and we go to mRNA, you know that T goes to A, you know that A goes to U, you know that C goes to G, and then we can take that A, U, G, and find out that is a met or a start codon. So I'm not going to fill out the rest of Mrs. Smith wants to fill them in while we're ending here. That's cool. Or we could work together or whatever. Oh, look, an easy one, right? I'll take the easy one. What is that? FPPHE. All right. So wrapping this up, like I said, we'll send you out something next week that's going to tell you exactly what we need to get done and what we're going to be doing and how we're going to catch people that haven't been paying attention. I'm looking at the number of people still watching this video. You guys have hung in with us. We love it. We love the people that are responding and talking in the chat and just everything about it, really. So at the end of 10 days, all right, so this is the end. This is the final day of the initial 2 weeks that we were supposed to be off. And I have to tell you, thank you to Mrs. Smith, first of all, because I am used to every morning seeing Mrs. Smith and putting up with her and her putting up with me. And it's difficult for both of us, probably. Not really. And seeing you guys. And so these 10 days, I was thinking before we started this, how long these 10 days would have been if we hadn't been doing this with you. And so thank you all for joining us. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it. So, Mrs. Smith, you have anything to finish wrapping up, or are we done?
No, we really miss seeing you guys. Do the flip grid so that we can see your faces.
Yeah, come on. Turn the camera on. Like, I'm serious. Like, I don't know if if you went and watched them and how much you enjoyed seeing everybody. We would enjoy seeing you just as much.
Yeah, and,
so with that,
special shout out to Alexis because this has been my saving grace. Thank goodness I bought so many boxes.
Mrs. Halk is in the chat, and she says she's so proud of you guys. And she means that sincerely. Yeah, it's a running theme. Every teacher I talk to, we've had some professional development this week. We've had meetings. You guys are the center of everybody's thoughts and everybody's minds. Not only how we're going to teach you next year, but just that you're doing well. We know how hard it is to be trapped in your house with nowhere to go, because sometimes you need to get away and you can't. So just a big shout out to you guys. Stay safe. Keep washing your hands. And we love you. We'll see you later.
See you Monday.